Me, 8 to 10 years old or so. Dad is taking me to meet some of his colleagues. It's kind of a hoity-toity business gathering at a nice library. I wasn't supposed to come along, so Dad warns me to be on my best behavior. I was worried I wasn't dressed fancy enough. It's pretty boring, but the people are nice enough. Dad introduces me to a few people he knows. One guy in particular stood out, as he was wearing an emerald green suit. The people around were dressed in nice clothes as well, but this guy had a green suit on. Dad tells me that this man is probably the smartest and wealthiest person in the room. The green man takes a great interest in me because I was known for being a bit precocious, and I was pretty articulate for a kid, I guess. He asks me a litany of strange questions about history and science, and my opinion on some geopolitical topics. It was absurd, but I was the kind of kid that knew about these sort of things, and I absorbed information like a sponge. I was basically repeating back to him things that I had read in books or seen on TV that seemed to be authoritative. If he asked me about something I didn't know about, I told him as much. That seemed to please him since I wasn't pretending to be more knowledgeable than I was. He continues questioning me, but then something strange happens. I can hear his voice saying something different than what his mouth is saying. I can hear his voice in my head. I'm very confused. As precocious as I was, I had no idea people could do that, so I was a bit surprised. None of the adults freaked out, so I assumed I was just a little slow on the uptake. The green man smiles at my confusion, but then excuses himself in a bit of a hurry. The gathering ends, and we end up leaving. On the drive home, I ask my dad about the man in the green suit, and he has no idea what I'm talking about. I try to explain that he literally introduced me to a man dressed in a green suit, but Dad doesn't recall this. I'm left wondering how he could forget that. Be me, 11 years old, at friend's birthday sleepover party, morning of the second day, watching a movie. Pause movie to fuck around, making jokes and talking. Suddenly, get this terrible feeling, overwhelmed by a sudden, overwhelming sense of cosmic horror. The sound of my friends laughing and talking fades away, like they're underwater. This is wrong. Everything is wrong. This isn't real. The world isn't real. Something horrible is coming. It's going to kill us all. I have to warn them. But how? I don't even know what is coming. It's pointless anyway. Our end is inevitable. Feel like the entire world is falling away all around me. Oh God, nobody knows. I'm the only one who knows. I can't save anyone. My dad is gonna die. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Burst into tears because it's all I can do. Come to with my friends huddled around me, asking if I'm okay. I'm not okay, but I do feel a little better. The world feels real again. Call my dad and ask him to take me home ASAP. Very quiet until he shows up. Not feeling very festive anymore. When Dad asks me why I wanted to come home early, I don't even know where to begin. I just felt sick and wanted to come home. I'm pretty sure this was just a panic attack or something. I was an anxious kind of kid, so it's not unlikely. Still, it fucked me up so badly that I remember it clear as day. 16 years later. It makes me want to go back in time and hug little me. Poor kid got all kinds of fucked up by that experience. First story. Be me, 13 or so, and start creating horror stories. Create a pantheon of evil beings and so much more. Create one who's basically a nymph who was discarded by the gods. Wore a white mask, red dress, and white mask decorated in blood. Basically, a symbol for sin itself. Become obsessed with said being. Over the 2 years, become more and more obsessed. Had 2 moments where my mind breaks and feels like she is physically there. Be me, now 18, and she is basically on my mind, day after day. I hate her, and the more I look into, the more I fear I created an actual being. Second story. Be me, like 8, camping in some park in Texas. Think it was maybe Garner, I don't know. Go down smaller trail. Parents bought me a bug vacuum since I've always been obsessed with capturing bugs. It's by a river, so the entire time I look at said river. Try catching all sorts of bug with vacuum, and fail horribly cause, well, it was designed to just be cheap and sell in masses. Eventually, see a dragonfly. Look closer and notice it's in a humanoid shape. Picture a blue dragonfly, but in a human-like shape, and its head is replaced with a human featureless face. I am mesmerized, and eventually snap back to reality and try catching it with my vacuum. Fail horribly, of course. Tell parents, and they just laugh it off and make jokes the entire time. Years later, see a video of a family in their backyard, find an exact replica of said creature, but it's in a more stick bug-like appearance. Homie got stick bugged. Third story, be me. Live in a huge neighborhood in rural Texas by a national park. See all types of weird shit. Large glowing light that just pops up and slings itself into the air, fading away by my house. UFO sightings all the time. White light creature on the tree. Usual spoopy sounds in the forest. Emu that just shows up in neighbor's yard. Weird colored feathers that just show up. Blue with some purple on it. And so much more. And that's not counting what my dad saw growing up in that area. Randonautica became a huge hit app. And if you don't know, basically you say a thing and it will take you to it. I use it with my sister. We decided to do nothing spooky yet and just try normal shit. And you know what? It worked. But when we used it for spoopy shit, I decided to do demon, and it sent us outside, so I went outside by myself. Sister was called to do something by my mom, and right where it told me to go, I see a blood red light shining. Instantly book it and run inside. Tell sis, and she looks outside and sees nothing, and neither do I. Afterwards, get a borderline addiction with app. Use it again at church, same forest, and decide to do evil, and it places right outside the border of church. Do it again, but say skinwalker, and again, places it out of border, but close to other side, and keep repeating skinwalker, and it does a literal circle around the church. Eventually stops since we were all called in for church. Yeah, weird ass owl app is recommended. Be me, at 16. A friend invites me to smoke. Friend suggests we go to a cut. I don't know where it is, so I agree and follow. We walk across town and stop at an abandoned house by my old middle school. Instant bad feeling. There were lots of rumors about the house. The home's owner allegedly killed himself. A girl from another school went missing some years prior. Last seen by the house. I'm already creeped out, but I want to get high, so I go in anyway. The inside is dark. All the windows and doors are boarded. We had to get in and out by climbing through a hole in one of the walls. Graffiti and broken glass everywhere. We sit amid the debris and smoke. While we're there, I can hear noises from inside the darkness. Scratching, creaking. We shine a phone light down the dark hole, but something weird happened. The house was small, but the darkness inside was deep. The hallway beside the room where we were looked like it went on forever. More noises, more scratching, louder than before. I'm starting to freak out, but say nothing because my friend would talk shit. My friend says we should explore the house, see if there's anything valuable in it. I'm at my limit, too creeped out. I make up an excuse and say I need to go home, and we leave. While we're walking back, I ask him if he heard the sounds in the house. What noises, man? I didn't hear anything. I drop the matter, and we part ways. Neither of us went back to that house again after that. Be me, 7 to 8, early 2000s. Visit some buttfuck nowhere with Dad. Mama's in wheelchair, so we rarely took her out on stuff like that. First day was normal. We go to eat waffles and take a swim in the nearby lake. On our way to the hotel, see clown. Don't really think much. Go sleep. Wake up at like 3 a.m. and hear creepy laughter. Be too much of a bitch pussy to check it out. Just pretend everything is fine and go back to sleep eventually. Day 2 was actually normal. Day 3 as well, but on the way back from the lake, we stopped at a McDonald's for food. Why did I actually say McDonald's? We stopped at a McDonald's for food. While shoveling this crap into my mouth, I notice a clown next to our car. Tell Dad. He gets spooked hard and calls the cops. They tell him to go fuck off because they don't care about a fucking clown. Eat and go to car. Notice the fucker left a note. My face one, it was a party invitation. My face one, it has my name on it. My face one, party is tomorrow. In woods, next to our hotel. Now, originally we were supposed to have 5 days of fun and return in the early morning of day 6. But we decided to pack up and fuck off from there on morning of day 4. Night from day 3 to 4. Hear creepy shit, like nails on a chalkboard and some weird screeching. Can't sleep all night because of that. Morning of day 4. We're putting our suitcases in the car. Dad goes to take a shit, says to stay in the car. Sit there, looking through windows. Suddenly, a massive congregation of creepy clowns, of all shapes and sizes, emerges from the woods near a hotel, and just stands there. Pretty sure they can't be human. One fucker is like a good 7 feet tall. Another one is normal height, but his arms are like twice as long as his legs. They all sing some weird nursery rhyme. Getting ready to fucking die, that wave. Suddenly, Dad runs up and we bolt the fuck out of there. Never have been happier to see the fucker in my whole life. I honestly forgot about this whole ordeal, thinking it was a dream, until Dad reminded me last year. Probably spookiest thing I experienced. B15, California. City has loads of parks and foresty type areas. Go to the park closest to my place to smoke a joint. It's an area filled with trees that you can even get lost in, but easy to find any of the 30 paths out. It was night. I couldn't get caught. Halfway through, I hear clapping and laughing, deeper and down a trail. Decided to go down to see what was up. Got close enough to see 20 to 30 people in robes and some ritualistic offering shit, like a skinless animal. They must have smelled my loud, cause once I got to a point down the trail, they got dead silent, and I heard rustling. I instantly started running the moment I saw them putting out lights. It was already dark as it was. Didn't stop running until I hit the streets. Now, I carry. Be me, around 23 years old. 4th of July, me and a group of buddies go to a hunting cabin in Bumblefrick, PA, close to a little town with good fireworks. 4 to 5 of us. Middle of nowhere. No cell service. This time, friend brings another friend of his who I didn't know along. Guy seems off, .jpg. Something about him, just no. He's not rude, just off. Seems slightly dissociated. Anyway, later that night at cabin, everyone drinking beer except me. Decided not to drink this time. Completely sober. Eventually, everyone goes to bed. Lying in bed, suddenly overwhelmed by a terrifying cosmic horror. It's the second person to say cosmic horror. Worse than anything I've ever felt. I get up. Still a black horror, even with light on. Tell another good buddy who is in the room with me. He doesn't feel anything. I don't care, .jpg. I conscript him to start praying anyway. Eventually, the horror leaves. Barely sleep. Next morning, me and him nope out of there early before anyone else. It's a Sunday morning. Go to church. Part of me wonders if that weird kid didn't have a demon attached to him or something that I was able to sense. I've never felt anything like that before or since. 9 years old. Camping trip with Boy Scout troops. Buttfuck of nowhere. In County Sligo. In tent with best friend. Scout leaders are no more than 10 meters away in their own tent. I wake up, and I gotta piss. Get out my bag and tent so I don't wake anyone up. Bring a flashlight cause I'm a total pussy. Walk for a solid 2 minutes so I don't piss near the site. Finish and walk back. Turn my torch away from the tent before I shut it off. Corner of my eye, I see something around the spot I pissed. Was the size of a bull, but it didn't look like an animal. Nothing was there the morning I woke up. Be 5 years old. Often have strange dreams. One keeps reoccurring every now and then. I fall asleep and find myself in an empty city. No sign of human presence other than the buildings themselves. I hear a voice call my name in a childlike, playful tone. Over here, Anon! I look towards the voice and see a geometric anomaly covered in eyes. Pick related, but more cartoon-like, with many eyes. Follow me, Anon! It shapeshifts into a giant arrow and points down an empty street. I follow it. We walk for a while and stop at what appears to be a train station. The map! The map! It gives me a map and urges me to look at it. My heart begins to pound because I know what happens next. Tunnel vision as I focus on the map. A monstrous reptile, like a dinosaur, but more horrific, crawls out of the map and begins to chase me. I run around the train station trying to escape the monster. Dream ends. Move to a different city. The reoccurring dream stops happening. Decades later, my mom casually mentions I used to sleepwalk when I was 5 before we moved, and she would find me standing up, asleep, shaking in fear in random parts of the apartment. Okay, so here's how I almost died 4 days in a row. Mind you, this one is kinda weird. 15-year-old dumb shit. Super depressed after my first breakup. Parents poorly giving a fuck about you for the first time, since ever, because of Big Sad. Unironically thinking about killing myself. Decided to do it. Day 1 of how I almost died. Swallowed like 20 sleeping pills. Prescription ones, but nothing strong since they're meant for kids and adults alike. Just vomit all night. After that, I begin to feel weird. Not like depressed weird, or my fucking liver is dying weird, but like I'm being watched by something weird. This feeling continues through this whole experience. Day 2. Weirdly enough, I'm still alive. Kinda shaken by this whole thing. And the fact that now my stomach just hurts a bit, and that's all. Be walking down the street with friend. Went across the road when, suddenly, some middle-aged woman grabs me and tells me to watch out. She saved my life as I almost walked right under a speeding delivery van. Get spooked and run home. Day 3. Freaking out about near-death experience. Stay in room all day, except when I have to walk doggy. Evening walk. Zoning out to some perturbator. Suddenly, a fucking streetlight collapsed right next to me. We're talking like half a meter to my right. Almost have a fucking heart attack because of it. Run home. Day 4. I'm freaking out, like a schizo thinking the universe wants me dead or some shit. Didn't eat all day, so I'm really hungry by 4 p.m. Decide to grab a pizza from nearby. Avoid the crosswalk from day 2. See some sketchy dude near pizza place. Right as I make the order, hear a scream outside. The dude beat up some kid so hard, he almost fucking died because of brain damage. Perp was high on meth or crack, from what I remember. TLDR, I had to almost die 4 times just to get over some stupid bitch. Also, didn't get to order my pizza. Still crying about it. I saw a UFO when I was little. Sister is 10 years older than I am. Her boyfriend's family is rich. Has a big house in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania. It's late at night, and I'm throwing rocks into the pond on their property, while everyone else parties inside. See a shitload of lights in the water's reflection. Look up and see a huge object, reasonably close to the ground, moving very slowly. Completely silent. All the lights on it make it very clear it's not plane-shaped. Run inside to get my sister because, holy shit, what is that? And I was scared of the X-Files at the time. Come out, and there is nothing there. Just empty night sky. Be me. My girlfriend and I were driving from a date in Atlanta a couple years ago. Apple Maps told me there was a traffic jam blocking the interstate from Chattanooga to Nashville. We decided to take the highways home. I was driving on Highway 8 toward McMinnville at 11:30 p.m. when a blinking cone of light appeared across the night sky on my left. The light was huge, spanning miles in length. It was probably only 5,000 to 10,000 feet up in the air. It was a semi-cloudy night, and it was below the clouds but way above the trees. The cone of light was not that wide, but extremely bright, and aimed forward in the sky. Not at the ground, but straight forward. I woke up my girlfriend, who had been sleeping at that point, and she also sees this strange blinking cone of light that seems to be approaching us. The blinking was on for 2 seconds and off for 2 seconds. As we passed the craft, both of us got a good look at what it was. We were expecting to see some kind of airplane or radio tower, but what we see is something else entirely. It appears to me as an all-black bike horn, with the cone of light being emitted from the cone of the horn. My girlfriend described it as a quote-unquote hanging lamp. It passed us going no faster than 100 miles per hour. One thing about it that we both agreed on was that the craft was very large, larger than an airplane. It was about the length of 4 passenger airplanes. We did not turn around to follow it, as it was going the opposite direction. It was going in the direction of its headlight, and had no visible wings or means of propulsion. 8 years old. Creepy-ass stairs leading up to my room, with only light switch at bottom. Every other light was off. I turn off the switch, and terror run up these motherfuckers every night. One night, right as psyching myself up for the terror run, scary fucking music randomly starts playing. Hello? Shitting bricks.x. Who's there? This isn't funny! About to fucking cry. And later, I discovered the fucking Windows 98 Haunted Mansion screensaver plays creepy music, even though the monitor was off. Synchronicity fucking me in the ass, dude. Friend and I, roughly 12. Don't remember much from childhood, except our time together. Lived in a woods. Literally only went home when parents made us. Neighborhood has a small patch of woods. Funnels into a small area of no homes. Then into a massive forest. Stay mostly in a woods by the neighborhood. Small streams and such. Hiking, riding bikes, etc. One day, get bright idea to follow a creek to its end. Stay beside or in the water the entire way. Walk for well over an hour. Realize we've entered the forest. Creek empties into a river we didn't know about. Turns out, several kids drowned in that river through the years. Bodies never found. Happened over decades. We didn't know at the time, and only found out years later when we built up the nerve to ask his dad about it. Getting late afternoon and hungry, we head back. Walk near the creek, but a little further away this time. See a large mound of earth we missed earlier. Large oak tree sitting on top. Not quite a hill, but a good 15 to 20 feet high. Decide to inspect. Notice a small opening on the side, facing away from the creek. Probably a small animal den. Friend was always more adventurous than me. Let's investigate, Anon. Whatever. He starts poking around inside. Hey, it's pretty big in here. Starts digging around at entrance. Hole large enough to squeeze in. He wasn't kidding. We both fit inside. Hey, Anon, when we get home, let's grab some tools to dig this out. Why not? Get home, get grub, get tools, and we're off. The cave becomes our after-school project. Head directly there every day after school. After a couple weeks, shit was legit. 2 quote-unquote beds made of wood and pine branches. 2 quote-unquote chairs dug into the walls. We could both stand, arms raised, and not touch the top. It was like an underground clubhouse. Shit was cash. Hey, Anon, wanna stay here Saturday night? Fuck yeah. Tell both parents we're staying at the others overnight. Saturday night. We have snacks, board games, flashlights, slingshots, which is a 12-year-old weapon of choice, and make a fire and roast marshmallows. Fuck around in the creek. Kids being kids and loving it. Climb inside at sunset. Found a round wooden tabletop that we used to roll in front of the opening for a door. Used a length of pipe to push some holes through, one side, and the top for ventilation. Settle in. Fire goes out. Reading comic books by candlelight inside. Boom! Sounds like a fucking cannon fired. Loud ass snap and ground shaking thud. What the fuck was that? Silence. Dead fucking silence after that. Let's check it out, Anon. Are you fucking serious? Slide tabletop just a bit so we can peek outside. Friend whispers, "Did you see that?" I couldn't talk. I was in front of him. He's basically looking over my shoulder. Saw this thing's silhouette. It was cloudy, but the moon was nearly full and gave some light. It was massive. Walked on 4 legs. Size of a horse, but moved like a cat. If it had fur, I couldn't tell. It looked smooth and possibly gray. It was walking past the mountain toward the creek. It stopped. Oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck. I swear, it looked right at us. Its eyes weren't visible in the dark, but they had that creepy-ass shine from catching the light. Slowly, so fucking slowly, I started to roll the tabletop back over the opening. Friend hadn't moved. I don't think either of us took a breath. The opening was nearly closed when it let out this sort of gurgle. I don't know how else to describe it. It sounded almost like a snake hissing underwater. One more push, and it's closed. One more peek. It fucking turned. It's coming this way. Quickly but quiet as possible. We tried to barricade the door with wood, rocks, anything heavy we could find. Another gurgle. Much closer. I could hear it sniffing near the door. Not sure if at the door or the fire pit. Somehow, friend and I never made a fucking sound. Sitting center of the cave, armed with cheap slingshots and steel balls. Terrified. Suddenly, several large thumps on the mound. It was climbing up. No idea what time it was. Minutes felt like hours. Faint sniffing and gurgling noises. It was sniffing through the vent holes. Oh no. We were trapped, and this thing knew we were near. Now sniffing and gurgling from the other vent hole. We gonna die tonight. Scratching at the door. This went on for what felt like days. Door, top vent, side vent, repeat. Looking for a way in. Looking to kill what it smelled. Not sure if shock or exhaustion, but both our dumb asses fell asleep. Woke up. Could have been hours or minutes. No noise. Could hear birds. Woke friend up. Anon, what are we gonna do? I don't fucking know, man. Can't stay here forever. Open the door. I ain't opening that shit, friend. We sat in silence for what felt like hours. Fuck this. I'm gonna look outside. Takes a while to unbarricade door. Finally do. Move it back a couple inches. Daylight, thank you, Jesus. Seems clear. Count of 3, Anon. We open door and run like hell. 1, 2, 3. Door rolled open, and running like fucking Usain Bolt on coke. Gurgle. Hiss. Blood-curdling gurgle scream. This is it. This is how we die. Just keep running. Never stop running. Friend screams. Keep running. Everything goes blank. Anon? Are you okay? Mom? Oh my god, Anon, what happened? I don't know. Where's friend Anon? He's inside. He's badly hurt. Anon, what the hell happened? Begin telling Mom everything. Start crying. Just want to see my friend. His dad's on the way. His leg is all ripped up and bleeding. Go inside sobbing. Dad's patching up friend's leg. Anon, I'm so fucking sorry. Don't be, bro. You did what I would have. We knew we couldn't stop. What happened? I don't know, Anon. I was running behind you and something grabbed my leg. I pulled away and kept running. Didn't even realize I was bleeding. His leg looked like shark bites that I've seen. Shredded. Don't know how he managed the last few 100 yards. Told parents everything. Dads grabbed guns and headed back. Saw nothing. Said the top of the mound was all dug up. Another couple inches, and it would have opened up. Found huge sets of paw prints, deep in the mud. Massive tree branch on the ground, where we first saw it. Think the thing was in the trees, watching us. Never went back. Often wonder if the boys who drowned in the river through the years really drowned. Bodies were never found. Be me. A few years ago. Lived in rural area. Me and a few friends decided to trespass on a nearby farm to see if we could find anything cool, I guess. We were bored. No one was home, so drinking and smoking .png. It was not near any other buildings. Fast forward to about 11 p.m. Randomly decide to go into the barn. I'm drunk and impulsive. One friend goes with me. Open barn door and turn on flashlight. Every horse in it, standing up on hind legs and looking the other way, almost motionless. Blair Witch Project style. What the fuck? After maybe 5 or 6 seconds, they just got back down like nothing happened. Weirder part is my friend has no recollection when I ask him about this. Only really spooky if you were there, but I'll share. Be me. Back in middle school. Visiting a friend's house who lives out in the countryside. Closest neighbor was a little over a mile down a serpentine road in either direction. 5 of us there without supervision because housebro's parents weren't home. Mainly spending the night playing vidya and talking. After a while, 3 of the group were asleep, aside from me and one of my swim teammates, Ben. It's a new moon and it's cloudy, so it's completely pitch black outside. House borders on a thin strip of wooded area a few meters away. So thin you could probably walk edge to edge in 15 minutes. Ben and I are sitting on a 2nd-story balcony that faces parallel to the tree line. We're talking about stupid shit, and he starts idly messing with this cheap laser pointer that looks like a laser tag pistol on his keychain. He's just waving it around back and forth across the tree line and the lawn of the house. We continue talking, and after a few minutes, there's a blue dot on my arm. Both of us are confused. Realize it's the light from a laser pointer, but it's coming from the woods. The dot runs across my arm and shirt a few times before disappearing. Find it kind of funny for a second before realizing that means someone is in the woods watching us. We try to play it cool and pretend like we didn't even notice as we went back inside. In hindsight, that was completely fucking retarded because we both looked right at it and clearly reacted to it. Get back inside and wake Housebro up. The other 2 would have probably lost their shit and called the cops, so we just let them sleep. Try to figure out what to do, if we should call one of our families, etc. Decide to hunker down for the night. I wasn't planning on sleeping during the day regardless, so it wasn't too bad on me. Night goes smoothly. Nothing else happens, or ever came of it. B8. Mother is pathologist. Visit her at work after school sometimes. She has to do something. leaves me in her office. Decide to go see the corpses. Ghost of old guy standing next to his. Grins at me. Asks me if I'm the youngest doctor here. Politely tell him I'm not, but my mother is. He says he can see the resemblance. She did a good job on him. Wants to offer me candy, but remembers she took them from his breast pocket. Mom barges in looking for me. Asks me what I'm doing. Tell her I was talking to the ghost. She looks at me funny. Tells me ghosts aren't real. She would know. Tell her the old man wanted me to have candy from his breast pocket. Her jaw drops. Old man laughter from nowhere. We both turn toward the corpse. Its mouth shuts slowly. Mother tells me to wait in her office and goes to check on her work. Joins me half an hour later with a candy from the ghost's pocket. Takes my promise to never let anyone know about what happened, under pretense that she would lose her job for handing out personal possessions. Been meaning to post these since forever. Praise OP for opening this thread. My childhood was filled with stuff like this, mostly because of my friend group being adventurous. Story 1. Be 6th or 7th grade, anywhere from 10 to 12 years old. Be me. Play hide and seek in an old underground parking/basement area. Place was used by 3 buildings. It was huge. Also, dark as fuck. Me and 2 others get caught, so we're searching for a 4th friend. Friend comes rushing through us, literally knocking the wind out of us, and continues running. We thought that somehow he didn't see us, or he had mistaken us for someone else. As we are shouting for him to come back, we hear a distant scraping that gets closer, fast. As we are processing the sound, a sharp metallic screech comes from the direction of the scraping, like what a fox with a vocal box would sound like. Sprint the fuck out of there. Feel sunlight after what felt like hours underground. Everyone has a different perception of what that thing sounded like. I don't know if the sound was just too unorthodox to describe, or somehow it changed depending on the person. Friend who was hiding said that it was a person screaming his lungs out. Others say that it was an explosion or a loud hiss. Fast forward 9 to 10 years. Event turns into a debate with the same group of friends. Theories ranging from a water pipe problem to a schizo-homeless person. Friend who was hiding has no recollection of said event and says it's just a collective false memory. Thoughts? Story 2. This actually didn't happen that long ago, as I was 18 at the time. Be senior in high school, 2021. Summer-ish. Be at a strip mall with the same friend group from before, plus a few others. This mall is quite the popular spot for young chav types to hang around and pick fights with each other. It's almost always crowded with kids and teens. Be in crowd, waiting for friends to grab some food from a bakery. Hear whistling. Now, normally whistling in this place would be nothing out of the ordinary, but this was different. It was calculated and flawless. Get out of crowd. Whistling starts following us. We start to get annoyed, thinking it's someone trying to provoke us. The whistling is always close to us, but out of sight, and, as I said, robotic-esque. One of my friends with a non-existent temper gets heated and runs towards the whistling. Whistling stops. That's that MP4. Go to friend's house and get hammered. Leave around 2 a.m. with another friend and go home. As soon as we step out the building, the fucker is back. Now, it's more malicious in tone, like it's taunting us. We curse at the sound, but it just continues. At an area with tall hedges. Whistling is getting really close now, like just behind the hedges. Me and friend decided that we'll jump the fucker on his mark. 1, 2, 3. Nothing. Then, the fucker whistles again for the last time. The sound went over our heads, doing something of a 360, literal ear rape material. And then, nothing. Go home bewildered by what the fuck we just experienced. Story 3. Sophomore winter of 2020, pre-COVID. Chilling at home, playing Sekiro on my PlayStation. An unsaved number is ringing me. Pick up, and it's an old woman talking in Albanian. Politely inform her that I don't speak the language and that she has the wrong number, and hang up. As soon as I put down my phone, it starts ringing again. Sigh, and just put it on silent. Continue with game. Pick up my phone after some time to see if someone has messaged me. My face went 54 missed calls, and still ringing. Oh, it's on. Pick up, and shout at them for a few minutes, mutually exchanging curses and swears in foreign languages. hang up, and block. Don't think much of it. Tell friends about these crazy-ass old people. They want to have a few rounds with them. Much shouting ensues. 30 minutes after the last call, my friend's PC literally fries itself, freezes, and emits heat like a radiator. Pull the plug and open it, 'cause something other than the cooling fan was making noise inside. The motherboard was half melted. Friend visibly upset, but doesn't attribute this to the Albanian witch. Go home. My PlayStation had all its files corrupted. Closest I've been to ending it. Another friend had something similar happen to him, but I don't remember what it was. I just know that it was with something like a boiler. We all mutually agree that all of this is 'cause we got hexed by that granny. Decide to call again. Number doesn't exist. Alright, time for the weirdest story. Be 11 to 12 years old. Trip to some big-ass water park for summer, 'cause no camp this year. I was big into scouts and shit like that at that age. Trip was super cool. Going back home after 3 days of fun. Not even sad, 'cause I'm so satisfied with Trip. Suddenly, a feeling comes over me. Dad, I need to take a number 2. Pull up on nearby gas station. Okay, Anon, go poop and we're gonna refuel and buy some stuff. Just be quick. Go in the toilet. Pig related, except no mirrors, and stall doors were more like the shitty ones at school. Go into the stall and left. There were 3 stalls and the one in the middle was occupied. Pooping and minding my own business, when I hear an ungodly scream. Something like a mix between a deer and a bear. Scared so much, I no longer need to poop, but I don't want to leave stall. Hear a weird voice, or voices. It was hard to tell. Speak in some weird language. Latin, I think, although I'm not sure. See blood flowing on the floor from the middle stall. Jesus Christ help me, .mp3. My stall door shakes violently. Scream like a little girl. Beg for mercy. Everything stops. Blood is gone. Bathroom empty. No clue what the fuck just happened. Want to get out. Door to outside won't open, even though it lacks a lock. The fuck do I do now? Scream for help. Dad hears me. I'll get help, Anon. Calm down a bit. Turn around. Middle stall is open, and I see this massive fucking shadow monster thing. I vividly remember that it was dark with large horns, and eyes that reflected light like animal eyes on photos, but not much beside that. Scream louder than ever in my life as it slowly approaches me. Right when it's like 3 meters from me, some biker with a crowbar, who my dad recruited, opens the door. They look and see nothing in there. They think I'm crazy. Dad is mad at me for a couple of months, 'cause he had to pay for that door. Shared experience with my little brother. Had a few other experiences as well, but nothing like this one. Be 12 years old. Find out that Transformers 2007 is going to be on TV at 11 p.m. on a school night. Want to watch it with my little brother. Ask Mom. She says no. We'll see about that.png. Devise plan with my brother. Pretend to go to sleep. Wait till parents are asleep. Get out of bed. Tell my brother to close all the doors and turn on the TV while I prepare snacks. Oh yeah, it's all coming together.jpg. Don't hear TV being on. God damn it.png. Walk into living room. See my brother frozen in place, staring at something. Hey, what's wrong? Notice it. See a pitch black entity with white face and red eyes, with its head peeking out just behind the couch. It suddenly drops behind the couch. Stand there for a couple seconds. Walk slowly in the kitchen. Take knife. Crouch walk with knife in hand to couch. Peek behind couch. Nothing. We didn't watch Transformers that night. Be me. 12:30 a.m. November 12th, 2020. Sophomore in college. Bringing my girlfriend to my place to meet the family. Home is in the middle of Tennessee. Semi-rural. There's a large forest behind my parents' house. That is hundreds of acres. We're awake at night, so we can get the PS5, which was releasing at 4 a.m. at the local GameStop. Full moon, super clear, and bright night. Let's go look at the stars up at the cat wires. There are TVA cat wires running an electrical grid through the forest. Huge clearing at the top of a hill in the forest, next to the cat wires. We see my neighbor's giant white cat playing around the entrance to the path. Pet cat. We go to the top of the hill in the forest. Was lit. Got my dick sucked too at the cat wire. Nothing suspicious yet. Appreciating the stars. Around 1 a.m., we start to walk back to my truck, which is parked at the edge of the forest. Begin to hear a strange howl, or hoo, about a mile away, and in two separate places. Could be a coyote, owl, or other wild animal, so we thought nothing of it. Keep walking. We're only about 500 to 1,000 feet away from my truck now. Howl proceeds to approach us, and turns into something that sounds like an Aztec death whistle, with loud clicks and 1-second intervals. Sound is very close now, coming from the treetops. At this point, my girlfriend and I didn't even say anything, but we were now running for our lives. The sound is now coming from about 4 different directions, all in the forest, and couldn't be more than 500 feet away from us, and closing in fast. We break through the forest shrubbery, ditching the regular path to my truck. I quickly jump into the bed while girlfriend is already starting the truck. Peel out. I stare into the wilderness, and at this point, I can only hear my heartbeat and the engine. Later, at GameStop parking lot, my girlfriend tells me she saw what was chasing us in the forest. Said it looked like a human-sized gray raccoon, running swiftly on its hind legs. Never seen my girlfriend more afraid in my life. Never spoken of again. I was a college freshman about 10 years ago, at home for the summer, working at a burger place in Seattle. Halfway through the summer, this guy around my age joins, and I would talk with him to pass the time. He asked me a lot about college, specifically about sororities. Every conversation seemed to find its way to the topic of parties or sorority girls, but I didn't think that much of it. Move forward a month or so, and I'm at my last day, and we're talking about me going back to college. He said he was going to visit the first weekend of classes. My college is known as a party school. People visiting for big weekends is not uncommon. So, again, I didn't think much of it. I knew I wasn't going to meet up with him, but I humored him and said we'd hang out. Flash forward a few weeks. I hear of some dude breaking into a sorority house and hiding under a girl's bed. It was him. Be me, about 12 years old. Used to hike behind friend's house, down a huge Texas drainage ditch. Always told his mom we stayed in the house. No cell phones, no weapons. Mostly tall grass, chain link fences that are the back of the warehouses and factories. One day, we're going through the forest, talking to friend. Turn, see a man. He's just staring at us. Realize we're in his home in the woods. He has little structures built, about 4 of them, all different shapes. One tent, the others I don't really remember. One was kind of blocky looking. Kept talking to my friend, staring at the man. He stares back. Start walking around. Don't look back. Years later. Hey, remember when we saw that guy in the woods? Friend has no recollection. I have no idea how he didn't see him. I thought him being quiet was just playing along with me, pretending like he wasn't there, signaling to the man that we weren't going to bother him. Some part of me wonders if he's still there, in the woods. From an early age, my dad would tell me stories about strange experiences that he had as a younger man. These included experiences he described as miracles, such as water manifesting inside his mouth, spit, and angelic beings appearing over his bed at night and telling him that Jesus loves him. He also described seeing and being beamed aboard a flying saucer, an event which coincided with his born-again experience. This event also involved him collapsing in a snowbank and having 2 beams of light or lightning pierce his back from heaven. These stories inspired my interest in the paranormal from an early age. In high school, I became more interested in the occult and practiced witchcraft for a while. Be a little kid, still sleep with gate on side of the bed because of sleepwalking. Have dream where great-grandfather is lying in my bed, glowing green. Not that type of glowy. He is also sick. I am standing over him. He reaches out and touches me with his finger. I am now glowing green. Get scared. Back away. Look out bedroom window, which is wide open. Thunderstorm is brewing. Lightning crashes. Instead of thunder, a loud voice roars something at me. I have never been able to recall what it said. Wake up in that bed. Window really is open. Actual thunderstorm happening. Loud thunder. Window slams shut, seemingly on its own. Scream at the top of my lungs. Grandparents run upstairs. Tell them about my dream. Grandpa walks away. Doesn't say a word. Grandma explained. My great-grandfather had passed away overnight. Family is Catholic, so the incident is never spoken of again. Was hunting with my dad. We used a whistling system to avoid accidents. While chasing a bird, we got separated as he fell behind. I whistled and continued to get led deeper into the forest. Bird is long gone. After a good 15 minutes, I realize there is no fucking way he has somehow gotten ahead of me. I whistle once more, and still, I hear it further ahead of me. I turn back and walk to where we got separated. Dad is there wondering what the fuck I've been doing. I ask him how he got ahead of me, and he looks at me confused. Says he hasn't moved since I started chasing the bird. I fucking watched him walking parallel to me before we were separated. Never went back there. He still thinks I'm fucking insane because of it. Skinwalker, demon, any ideas? Be me, 9 years old. Mom was Burmese. Came from a very wealthy family that apparently made its money through making tattoos and houseproofing. One day, we were on a trip to the south when we were about to enter a roundabout. In the middle of the roundabout, like 5 meters in the air, there was an old man just floating there. He looked completely normal, not translucent or anything. Asian with a white shirt, gold patterns, and a longi. Just fucking flying/floating above the roundabout. I told my family if they're seeing this too, and no one does. They think I'm crazy and talking shit. At night, my mom asks me what that man looked like. I describe him to her, and then she says that I apparently described her dad, who at the time was 81 years old. A week later, we get a letter from Burma that my mother's dad died. Mom was crying through the whole night, and I comforted her by telling her that he smiled at us. Be me. House is sort of in a woods. House faces road, but back of house faces thick woods. Playing Morrowind in room. Hear loud ass thud coming from backyard door. Get up and look outside. Something has hurled a dead rabbit at my door from the woods. Fucker is covered in blood. Lock the door and keep my rifle close. Nothing else weird happens. This was about 3 weeks ago, and nothing has happened since. Not sure if it was some cultist or a skinwalker, or whatever you friends think. This was so fucking insane. I honestly believe it. It reminds me of something I can share. Summer of 2014 or 2015, I think. I don't remember. I'm like 18 to 20 years old, hanging out with one of my best friends. Our usual MO in these times is to go hiking, or whatever, in daytime, and chill in evening, play vidya, and whatever. Go climbing around a free recreation zone by hiking trail. Basically a zone where you can do what you want, at your own discretion. Basically, a mountainous kind of series of rocks, stones, trees, and weird little paths that went up and around, and so on. Keep in mind, this isn't in a forest or anything. We're in upstate New York, and this zone is smack right in the middle of a quiet but still well-populated small town, so we can hear cars and chatter of other folk below on the actual trail. We be climbing around on rocks and shit, massive boulders, just gallivanting around. This is basically a mini mountain composed of big rocks and trees and shit. Find a very small opening that is between a bunch of rocks to the side. Can only really see into the opening from chest up because of where we were. Pretty high up in the zone at this time. Looking into the opening, there's a little clearing of sorts. It's pretty large and open. Sunlight peeking down through a pretty big hole up top. So, it's pretty well lit. Ground is warped somewhat, so it isn't perfectly level. Looks iniquitous. Like I said, it's well lit and open, so, if anything, we're curious. The opening is tiny. Friend is a bigger guy, and I'm skinny and thin, so I decide to check it out. Takes me a good 90 seconds positioning myself to get in. And like I said, we can only see into this thing from chest up, where we were standing. I'm in, and just taking it all in. Keep in mind, my friend can see me this whole time, so he has an eye on me. I'm just looking around being like, hey, this is cool. Just having a time. I'm in the middle of the clearing, just standing there looking around. Suddenly, from a patch of darkness like 75 feet away from me, I hear a hissing sound. It was incredibly quiet, almost like if you turned the volume down on a human pretending to hiss like a cat. The sound was also very brief, only lasted about half a second. What in the hell.png? I freeze and listen out of curiosity. I'm looking right at this patch of darkness, where I hear the sound, and I don't see anything. Hear the sound again. Get a horrible feeling all over. Audibly say, I'm getting out of here. Mortal fear engages, and I fucking book it out of there. Entrance to the little area was much easier to get out of than in. I slip out like a lizard in 2 seconds. Buddy and I scramble down about 500 feet from the entrance, before stopping and looking up at where we were. Nothing there. No sound. We leave immediately. And that's really all there was to it. I know I'm not describing it well, but the terror was immense and palpable. It became a joke between us for a while that I was almost eaten by a mountain lion or something. Maybe it was a snake, or a bobcat, honestly. But I saw no movement or anything. Buddy also didn't see anything. Probably the one creepy experience I've had in adulthood. Story my mom keeps telling me. Be me, as a baby. Live in the middle of nowhere with my parents. I'm sleeping in my crib. Mom is laying in bed next to me. Dad is at work. It's super late at night. Room starts feeling super cold. Mom looks over at me and sees a woman standing over me in a black cloak. Mom starts feeling sad for no reason. Woman is looking at me like she wants me. Mom screams, "Get away from my child!" Woman hisses at her and runs away. Dad gets home and they search the house together. Woman is just gone. That house was so weird. I don't know what was going on in that place. Late to the thread, but this is a bad one I tell my friends and family about when we talk about stuff like this. Wake up. Girlfriend's side of the bed is empty, and our door is open with the kitchen light shining inside. Yell her name. No response. Get up and walk into kitchen. Hand on floor, leading into dark hallway. Stare at hand for a minute, pissing myself. Hand pulled away into hallway. Hyperventilating. It's my girl. I have to save her. Slowly walk and peer into dark hallway. See skeleton horse head attached to a corpse with limbs, decaying and falling off, floating above the floor. Psst. Turn around in horror at whatever the fuck just did that behind me. Nothing. Turn back around. Loud fucking static and screaming. The floating corpse with the horse head begins floating towards me at rapid speed. I wake up screaming. It was a dream. Be me, 10 to 11 years old. Friend from baseball team invited a bunch of us for some sleepover thing. 7 of us there. We're watching Avengers outside. He brings out 3 flashlights. Suggests we go into the forest behind his house. I get one, he gets one, and another kid gets one. 2 kids go with him, 1 with me, another with the 3rd flashlight kid. We go separate from the others into the woods. Boy with me says, "How deep into the woods are we going?" He's the only pussy of the group. Until we get lost. Plan to mess with him works. He's clearly scared. Walk for a few minutes. Same old trees. Nothing notable. Boy stops. Dead silent. I turn around to him. Looks like he's about to burst into tears as he points up. Turn back around. Fucking deer split down the middle. Intestines all over the place. Claw marks all over it and the trees around. Highest claw marks are 20 feet up on the trees. The deer is still breathing. We turn back and run like we've never fucking run before. We get back. Everyone has been waiting for us. We say that we're all sleeping inside. No further explanation. Tell the kid that organized the whole thing the next day what we found. Parents went into forest. Didn't find anything. No blood, deer, or claw marks. Both me and the boy with me know what we saw. I grew up on a farm, and when the sheep had babies, we would have to go out and check on them. This happened to me on one of the nights. I had a 3 a.m. shift, playing Silent Hill 1 as it had just come out, and I needed to stay awake. 3 a.m. hits, and time to go check the sheep. The weather is cold, foggy, and misty, just like Silent Hill. Great, I'm gonna die. All the sheep are good. Got 1 new lamb, put up with Mom. Seems healthy. Hear an indescribable piercing scream in the woods. Fuck, I am actually gonna die. Seriously though, what makes a sound like that? Piercing screech again. Okay, I'm not imagining it. Maybe it's a calf stuck in mud and bellowing into its horse. Didn't make much sense, but I needed a possible explanation. Well, shit, I guess I need to go check. Screeching continues periodically, and I venture into the woods where I'm hearing it. None of the cows in the pasture anywhere to be seen. Realize the source of the sound is moving away from me. Okay, it's gotta be a fox or a wounded rabbit maybe. Now, I just want to know. Keep moving towards it. It keeps moving away. eventually shouldering my way through thick pines. Can't see shit with my light in any direction. Just trying to get out of the pines into something walkable. Flashlight blinks out. Screeching sound moves closer. Fuck. Fuck. Don't panic. Banging flashlight. Nothing. Screech from maybe 20 feet away. Fuck this. Blindly pushing through trees, getting scratched and cut. Screech loudly in my ear. I feel like I felt its breath. Blind panic. I'm sprinting in the dark towards the edge of the woods. I just want moonlight, please. Arms and face are bleeding, but I make it to a clearing, and the light turns back on. Say fuck that, I'm gone for real. Keep hearing whatever it was, stay in the woods. As I'm leaving that night, hear it numerous times after that. Always in the woods. Always at night. Convince myself it was a barn owl, so I don't go insane. Only one memory stands out for me. This took place in the early 1970s, in a house on Taunton Street in Victoria, British Columbia. The house had black trim back then, and the big tree in the yard and row of shrubs to the left of the driveway didn't exist. I was between 2 and 3 years old, and was sharing the same room with my baby brother, who was only a few months old. Late one night, I woke up for some reason, and looked down to the other end of the bedroom, where my brother's crib was. In the darkness, with a bit of a streetlight shining in the window behind me, I could see what looked like a blanket floating midair from out of my closet, and it slowly glided towards my brother. Now this got my attention, and I sat up and said something like, "Hey!" And much to my shock, that blanket zipped across the room, right at me, and covered me. I guess I started screaming because both my parents ran in. Mom told me years later that I was tangled up in my brother's blanket, struggling to get free when they came in. We moved out about a year later. Had a few weird things happen there. Be me. Decide to visit video game friends in Missouri. Drive 11 hours. Get there and start walking with them. Me, 2 dudes, and my girlfriend-to-be. Walking down this trail at like midnight. Smoking swishers that give. All is right with the world. Continue walking. Come across a section on the trail, canopied by trees for probably a few yards. To the left of it, from where we are, is a large pond. To the right, a tall grass field. IRL shitposting until I see these fucked up things jump across the path from the fucking bank of the pond into the tall grass field. One of the 2 dudes sees it too. They look like the height of a doe, but they're all skinny in the loins, like a greyhound. Tell everyone to just ignore it for now, and keep the remaining swisher lit. Secretly, paranoid, because I know about stories about shit like this. Make sure the others are calm. Begin to hear something like a fox whine, coming from the edge of the tall grass. That gets closer to us, but it won't leave the grass. Decide to turn around and hoof it back. Tell other dude to keep that fucking swisher lit. Fox whine sounds like it's just repeating itself, almost mechanically. Still following us. Everyone on edge. Get back to the car and fuck off from the little park. Several months later, someone commits suicide on that same trail. Does anyone know what the fuck I saw? It was too big to be a coyote or a fox, and too emaciated to be deer. Went to some abandoned Soviet farmhouse that I found on Google Maps. Went there with a couple of my buddies during the blood moon. Heard voices in my head to get the fuck out of that place while walking deeper into the farm. Usually I have voices in my head before something bad happens. For example, when I drive drunk and there's police nearby. Anyway, we went deeper, and the voices in my head became louder and louder. I knew something bad would happen, but everything around became more quiet. We were walking without any light, and then we all stopped, because we all saw this huge silhouette with yellow eyes that was gazing at us. It was, at max, 7 meters away, through the window frame. We stopped and froze, and then that thing started to scream at us, with a very unpleasant voice. Sounded like something from the Left 4 Dead video game, that witch zombie, or a woman that has smoked and drank her whole life, and trying to scream at top of her lungs. So, that thing screamed for a couple of seconds, and I screamed back after that. I was hoping that it was an elk or some wild animal, and that it would fuck off, but then it started to move in our direction, and it moved some bricks, so one of us just said, "Let's run," and we did. During running away, I saw my friend falling a lot of times, and I felt so relieved. that he would die, not me. That thing was following for sure, but there was too much adrenaline and I didn't see shit. It was also following in the forest, making some fucked up noises that my friend who was waiting in the car even heard. We got a bit lost in that forest because it was a young pine tree forest, and running through it was fucking crazy. My face was all fucked up after that, but we survived. After that, for like 2 months, every time there was a full moon, I saw that bitch in my dreams, calling me back there. One night, I almost went, but I didn't go in the end. This happened like 2 to 3 years ago. Sometimes, I have an urge to stay there during a full moon, overnight in a tent, but my friends, most likely, would not go with me. B9. In my room playing Kingdom Hearts. Hear what sounds like my dad walking down the hallway towards my room. Didn't hear him coming up the stairs, kinda sets me off, but oh well. Continue working on my gummy ship. Hear a noticeable belch from the hallway near the storage room. Then, more movement. Door was wide open, and footsteps came closer. Stops near the door frame. Call out to my dad, but get no response. Think my dad is just playing a joke on me, and brace for a jump scare. Nothing. Get back to playing my game, but don't hear anything else out of the ordinary. And the TV downstairs is still in the background. Finally, head downstairs to see my parents and my brother watching something on TV. Ask my dad why he came upstairs earlier, and he told me he hadn't moved since the program came on. Our home was right on the property of a coal mine supervisor's home. My dad put a lot of work into renovating the property. I always was afraid of the storage room, as well as the third room with a crawl space. I had a few weird experiences in this room as well. We moved out a few years later, and my aunt and grandma moved into that home. The last time I was in that house was a few years ago, after my grandpa passed. I had the same feeling going near these rooms, even as an adult.